everyone, JRDL96 here with a brand new reaction. As you can tell by the title, it's another Jacksepticeye video, and this one is something that I was been really looking forward to watching, and that is, Jacksepticeye's, a little recap of 2021. Obviously, 2021 was probably not the best year for him. A lot of personal stuff, happened to him, unfortunately. The death of his dad, a lot of his health, his health has started to, become an issue again. The fact that there were pieces of garbage out there that were actually poking fun at his dad's death. And, then near the end of the year, he ends up getting, COVID. And that's just unfortunate. But there were some highlights, obviously, which was, finally the movie Free Guy came out, which he actually appears in, and other things. So, and he raised a lot of money for charity, $7 million for, Thankmas. So there were some highs and there were some lows, but obviously I want to hear his actual thoughts on it. So anyways, I'm just going to get right into it. So without further ado, let's react to this video, shall we?
2021, what a weird year it's been. Huh?
Yeah.
Did you all manage to get through it? What did Santa bring you? Hopefully something great. Hopefully something you wanted. Hopefully you spent the holidays actually around people that you love and felt safe and secure and stayed safe because of everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
The world is rampant at the moment, but hopefully you're all doing well and okay going into next year. And if not, that's fine too. Are we all doing okay collectively? I don't even know anymore. 2021 was a weird year for me because I feel like we had some really big highs this year, but we also had some of the lowest lows that we've had in a long time. And it's weird to think about how the year actually ended up at the end of it. I think I'm ending this year more positively than negatively.
Really?
And that I think is a good thing, because last year, maybe even the year before, I feel like the last couple of these that I've done, things have always felt kind of miserable. It's like things are bad, but we try and like round it into a more positive aspect. I feel like I like flip-flop. I like a bad year, good year. Bad year, flip.
Yeah.
But this year definitely tested me more than any other year so far. Other years I've had like mental struggles with myself and what I'm doing and where I belong in the world and what I want to do with myself and my life kind of stuff. And it's all very like internal existential stuff. And I think that just comes with doing this job after a while. You hit sort of like I've been doing it like 9 years now.
Jeez.
Is it? Yeah. Oh god, it'll be 10 years next year.
I've been doing this for 10. I can't believe
that.
Yeah.
You hit a point after like year
Mark's
7
gonna be hitting 10 years soon as well.
You kind of like start to question like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? Am I happy doing the things that I'm doing? So I think a lot of the previous stuff that I was talking about was in regards to that over the years. This year though, we just had some big stuff happen outside of my control.
Yes.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush. We started off the year with my dad dying.
Oh.
Which was, it was something that I think we were all
very
kind
sad.
We all, as in my family, were all kind of like preparing for a while, and we had talked about it and gone over what would happen if the inevitable did happen, but nothing really prepares you for when it actually happens. And
it just happens when you least expect it.
A lot harder than I think even I expected it to. That might be a weird thing to say. I knew it would hit me hard, but I didn't think I would have as many thoughts going around in my head.
I had the same thoughts with Horatio. Like I knew the day was going to come, but it hit me when I didn't expect it at all, and it really broke me.
But it made me question a lot of things in my life. It made me question a lot of what I wanted to do after that. Because I've kind of beaten around the bush before and talked a little bit about like, oh, I thought I was going to quit last year. I thought that I was done. I thought I was bored of this. And I thought I just didn't belong anymore. Like all these different things. And then when this happened this year, I really sat down and I went, okay, what are we doing? Are we taking time off? Are we going to come back after this, or are we just done? And I did take some time off and I self-reflected, and I think the conclusion that I came to was that I wanted to continue doing what I was doing and be better about it, and kind of get rid of all the hang-ups around it, because it's weird when you kind of face your own mortality through one of your parents passing. And that's something I've always heard in the past, and I was like, is it really like that? And then when that happened this year, it really is. I thought about myself a lot through my dad's eyes, and I thought a lot about his life and how he lived and what he wanted to do, and did he accomplish all his goals, and did he live as much as he wanted to live, and was he happy in the final years of his life? And I think facing that and thinking about that and trying to live with less regret. I mean, it's difficult to do, and it's hard to kind of like keep that in mind and keep living your life to your max all the time. And certainly there are times when I mean living your life to your max, I don't mean like pushing every day to be as productive as possible. That's not living.
No.
I mean living life as in like you get up, you do your day, and when you go to bed at the end of the day, do you regret how you spent that day? And these days, not so much. These days, I don't go to bed guilty anymore. And I think it's because I just take more time for myself and take more time to do whatever I want. And if that's recording videos, cool. If it's not, cool. I think I've just gotten a lot better about figuring out my own personal boundaries and reflecting on what I want out of myself and my expectations of myself, and realizing that I'm not other people and that I shouldn't try to be. And I think doing that has kind of liberated me a lot this year. I think like the videos I've been making towards the end of the year, I think I'm so much happier doing them. I'm doing the things that I kind of just want to do, rather than overthinking it and being like, oh, what does my audience want? What should I do? Like, what do they want to see? Kind of stuff. And I think
I kind of had that moment too, like where last year where I was like,
of that came from the hardships of going
like
through
I just like what, like I kept thinking initially, what does my audience want? But I'm like thinking, what do you want?
Out of it,
what do I want?
A good outlook on things. But yeah, that was a big test to the start of the year.
Yeah.
I didn't really know where I was. I felt like I was like floating in the middle of the ocean when it happened, and I didn't really know what to do and when to come back. And I did take a bunch of time off this year for different reasons.
He honestly should have taken a lot more, to be honest. I came back
too quickly. And again, that was a guilt thing more than anything. But I definitely took more time later and kind of just figured out what I wanted to do. And then I came back with 15 months, which is something that I'm very proud of. For this
that
year,
video was great, and it really reflected his state of mind for that long period of time.
It would be. I just knew I wanted to like mess around with my camera. I wanted to record something. I wanted to test out stuff. I wanted to get cool shots and exemplify something this year. I wanted to do something sort of narrative driven, something short film-esque. And then Bo Burnham's Inside came out, and I was hugely inspired by that, which you can tell if you watch 15 Months and Inside. But it encapsulated a lot of what I was feeling already, and then it kind of steered me towards a path. And I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like I can make something. And then I sat down, and over a period of time, I recorded the whole thing and edited it. And it was such a weird experience because it was something I hadn't done before solo. And it was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And that was supposed to be my way of like putting a stamp on the end of lockdowns. Like I wanted it to be my sort of send-off and give myself sort of closure to what I was going through during the lockdown periods, and stuff with asthma and everything was pretty bad during that period of my life.
I can tell.
Like between like March 2020 and when 15 Months went up.
July 2021.
That whole period was sort of misery, being locked inside all the time and not knowing what to do, and then asthma being a problem, and just it was all over the place. And 15 Months was sort of a way to kind of showcase that and show what was going on behind the scenes, because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes with creators that people don't realize.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a lot of health issues, a lot of internal battles, and a lot of internal struggles. And I mean, I'm obviously not going to talk about all the time on video, because it just sounds like I'm a pity party for myself. And it's just not that relevant. I'm here to entertain. I'm here to make videos and kind of like have fun with people. I'm not here to just be miserable all the time.
No.
talk about my life constantly. That's, well, some people can do that. That's just not how I want to do YouTube,
Yeah.
I should say.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that kind of showed off a lot of that stuff. So I was very, very happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, I was really...
and there was some other videos that I
amazed at
did
that.
this year too that I'm very proud of. Some series that I think are amazing. We did Resi 8, which I was super excited for to come out. And then doing the series, I was really, really proud of.
Subnautica as well.
And I think looking back at it now, it was probably the best series we did this year on the channel.
What about
Like, as an
Subnautica?
actual, like, encapsulated little series. I think it was fantastic. I love that game. I went back and I played it like 5 more times. I even tried to
Speedrun it?
Speedrun it, not really. Like crank the best time out of it that I could. I just kind of went in with infinite ammo and messed around and finished the game in under 2 hours, which I thought was very impressive. So that was really fun. We had Subnautica Below Zero come out.
Yep.
That was really fun to do. I really enjoyed that series as well. I just think that's not as good as the original Subnautica, and I think my interest in the story of that game waned towards the end, and you could kind of tell that. So I wouldn't put that as highly as Resi 8 on my list of series we did this year, but I'm still really proud of it, and I still love Subnautica. And I think it was really fun to get back into that world and play it. We also did Little Nightmares 2, which I loved, and I thought was another great series to do. It was just a weird year for games because not a lot of the bigger games that were supposed to come out this year got postponed. Some of the games that did come out were a bit of a letdown. So we didn't have that many like massive series on the channel. But the ones we did have, I was really excited about, and I think I stopped doing series that was just like, okay, a new game is out, let's play the whole thing. And now I'm just kind of curating them more and doing the ones that I'm really into, because otherwise I get
just do the
bored
ones
and
that
the
you're
series gets
into, and not
annoying
you don't have
watch.
to
It's
like jump
why
on
would
the
I upload?
train
I
of
can
like
upload
what
other
everybody
stuff
else
and
is
make people
playing.
more entertained and keep myself happier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those were like the 3 big games this year. House of Ashes came out as well, but I wasn't too keen on that. But it was sort of a fun series to do. I'm probably forgetting something major, and people are going to yell at me. But I forget what happened this year, okay?
A lot of shit happened
What
that
else
year.
did we do? Oh, we did the interview with Tom Holland and Zendaya recently.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was so cool to be able to do again. I'm so happy that we were able to do it in person. I got offers to do others throughout the year. Wants to do like Tom Hardy for Venom 2, but it would have been over Zoom. And Tom Hardy's not that big into interviews anyway, and I was like, it'll just be awkward and cringy, and I don't really want to do it just for the sake of being able to say, oh, Tom Hardy's on my channel kind of thing. That's not the reason I do the interviews. I don't like doing them that way.
So you're like, Venom, fuck this guy!
When people interview celebrities, it's always like they want something out of them. They want like
fuck this guy!
They want a spoiler. They want secrets about the relationships. All these kinds of things, and I hate that. It's so... Ugh.
Yeah, that's what they
As
were
someone
doing
who's
with
been
Zendaya and
introverted,
Tom a little bit. Some people.
For being a person in my position.
Because Tom and
and being
Zendaya
asked
are
questions
kind
like that, it's
of
like,
dating.
just
They've been
ask
trying to keep
something
it
normal.
secret
Just
for the
have a
last few
conversation with
years.
me. You know?
Let
So
them
that's
be.
kind of what I try and do whenever I interview.
Why is their
Obviously, you have to keep it
relationship got to
around
be
the
under a
movie and ask
microscope all
questions
the
about
time?
movie and things like that, but I felt like if I was to interview Tom Hardy, I don't know what I would have asked him.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me nervous thinking about that, and like, oh, maybe it won't go well. I was like, well, then just don't do it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's over Zoom. It's just awkward. I like doing them in person more.
Yeah.
But we also got an offer to do one with Paul Rudd for Ghostbusters.
Oh, wow.
And there was a bit of weirdness around that one. I think that might have been
Over Zoom
as well, but I wasn't sure. And then other stuff was coming up, and the timeline wasn't working out. So I was like, okay, let's not. Even though I absolutely love Paul Rudd, and it'd be so nice to be able to meet him. But it was cool to be able to do Tom and Zendaya again. I really enjoyed that one. I hope the video was good. I was so nervous doing it again because it had been so long.
Yeah.
And it fell out of my groove on how to interview people. But I don't think you can tell that in the video, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, and Free Guy came out.
Oh,
this
yeah.
year that I was in.
What the
If I
shit?
haven't talked about it enough already. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was
one
great.
of the coolest experiences I've had doing YouTube.
That was like probably the highlight for
because
him.
It was in production for so long, and it was supposed
Well,
to come
it
out
was
for so long,
delayed
and
many
it was a big
times
deal
because of the
for it to
pandemic.
have
The
to come out in
pandemic has
theaters.
pushed this
Well, I
movie
don't know
so
the industry.
much.
Because I was in the movie now, people are going to take what I say like I had some sort of knowledge about the production of it. I had no idea. I just did my thing. And
He
then
just
left.
filmed
And then the movie came
cameo
out, and I was like,
scenes,
"Yay."
and then they included it in the movie.
But it was cool to see that finally come out and having been part of it and having done the lines for so long, and then waiting so long for the movie to come out, and having seen it before it came out, and then waiting for people to be able to see it and being like, are they going to like it? Oh God, being so nervous around it, and talking about it to family and friends all the time, and having them ask like, what are you doing it? And I was like, just wait for the movie to come out. And then it did come out, and everyone loved it, and I was so excited. And that's something that I will be forever proud of, to be able to say that I was in a movie with one of my favorite people on the planet, Ryan Reynolds. But not only that, but to be able to be in it with some other cool creators as well, and
You know.
just dip a toe into Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to like try out acting more seriously and do narrative stuff and
Yeah.
write shows and everything. But I feel like, honestly, if I'm being completely genuinely honest about it, I feel like I'm not good enough for it. And I don't want to be given opportunities just for the sake of being Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, you want to
That's
do
exactly why I was in
things
Fiverr.
your way.
But I
and
tried
don't-
to do my best in it, and I tried to act as naturally as possible, and hopefully it looked decent. I think I did a good job in it, but I've always wanted to tap into that world even more and do voice acting more, and I just hold myself back so much. But I think next year I want to pursue more stuff like that and do... I have so many ideas for stuff, and I'm just not tapping into any of them. And I feel like I've been saying that my entire career on YouTube, but I'm such a perfectionist in what I do that
What are you,
I
James
postpone
Cameron?
doing anything, because I'm like, no, it's not going to be as good as I think in my head, and I want it to be as good as I want it in my head.
I sometimes get that
If it's
too
not
when
as good
I'm
as it is
doing,
in my
you know,
head, then why
skits
would I do it?
myself, and I'm like trying to envision
So it's
stuff
just a
in my
bunch of
head, and I'm
things that I
like,
just haven't done
I don't
that
know if it's gonna look good.
Want to do, and well, it's like, do you really want to do it if you haven't done it yet? I need help. I need people to like help me and motivate me and
yeah,
like bounce ideas off more. And it's hard. I like working with people that I trust a lot, rather than just.
I
doing
guess
it for the sake
Evelyn
of doing
wouldn't
it with a
necessarily
random company
be
or random people
someone that
who are
would give you
able to
those
do it.
ideas
I like
to,
working with
you
people that I
know,
can
bounce
ideas
off.
and be completely comfortable and natural with.
So I guess like
I
others
don't
would
get
help.
like insecure about my ideas, kind of thing. But I'll work on it. Considering what I said at the start
Yeah,
of this video
just like
about how I
Stan,
wanna
you
live
know,
my
I
life
remember
moving
hearing this
forward,
quote from
I'll work
Stan
on it,
Lee.
and hopefully next
If you
year,
have an idea
hopefully
that
I'll
you
have some stuff to
genuinely
show
think
for it.
is good, don't let some idiot talk you
I
out of
should
it.
hold myself accountable. By
So
this
that's
time
what,
next year,
you
doing
know,
this video
I
again,
hope he
we do it at the
does.
end of every year. Doing this video again at the end of the year, I want to have something like that that I'm able to talk about. Either something's in production and I can't show it yet, something is done and out, or something is announced that I can talk a little bit about it. Anything. I just need to do stuff.
Yeah, get on it.
I have so many ideas. I need to start
Pretty
doing
sure
it.
some of those
We did
ideas are
Thankless
egos related.
recently.
Yeah,
Thankless
Thankless.
is ending soon. Sadly, we didn't hit our 10 million goal.
But you were close. $7 million?
$7.6 million now, unless somebody overnight donated like
$3 million. Huh.
we're at 7.6 million now. Which, don't get me wrong,
It's
is
still an
absolutely
amazing
mind-blowing.
feat
It's
to begin
so
with.
Unbelievably huge to be able to raise that amount of money, and the majority of that was raised over like a couple days. So that's so
Yeah.
cool. I'm so proud of that and the event, and I'm so glad that Thankmas is kind of becoming its own thing, because I did like make it up Thankmas with a bunch of other people at like Tiltify and Real Good Touring, and we sort of pioneered it. But the idea of doing Thankmas every year was to just have an event at the end of every year
Yeah.
that people could wait for, that people knew was going to come up, that every year they thought, oh, Thankmas should be around the corner soon. And that they would all get giddy
I
about
will
it
hope,
and be
I
really
will
excited about it
try,
towards the
if he
end of the
does
year.
thank
And
this
then
again this year, I will
bringing in
try
other
to,
creators
you know,
help out
do a
in it
charity
and help,
stream
like, giving it
to be a
them
part of
and
that.
them do whatever the hell they want with it.
Hopefully.
Was such a it was such a fun idea to do, and I'm so glad we did it. And that's how Thankless is going to be from now on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it solo ever again, because it just raises so much money and so much awareness when you spread it around and spread it around that cheer. That's kind of what the whole point of
Yes,
Thankless was supposed to be, was
Thankmas,
that
you know, you're
community,
spreading the cheer for with everyone
fundraising
else, in
community,
a
like, giving
sense.
back at the end of the year for Christmas. Yeah, And it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's why it's called Thankmas. It's
Yeah.
like the in-between holiday. We wanted to make our own holiday. If that wasn't obvious, I thought it was, but a lot of people don't know why it's called Thankmas. That's why. But I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
The fact that
You should
this
be.
year seems like the first year that I didn't have to like
Really?
tell as many people about it. I mean, I did still, but a lot of people knew what Thankmas was when I went to them. And that's what I want. I want Thankmas to become its own entity that
Yeah.
at the end of every year, you just mention Thankmas and everyone's like, okay, got it, we're doing it again.
Yeah.
And I always try and pick good charities with Tiltify. And
Yeah.
Story this
Make
year
sure you
were
don't,
phenomenal.
pick
Being able to
some,
build so many houses. Being able to build 1,000
some
houses
shady
for $10 million,
organization.
mind-blowing.
Yeah, 7 million. Come on, nearly
so
over
I'm
$7.5
really
million
proud of it. It
within
went
like
really
a
well.
couple of days. Come on.
I went to LA to do it, which I guess I could also talk about what else I did in LA, which was hang out with a bunch of people that I hadn't met before. When I did Among Us last year, I got to meet so many new people, all the offline TV people and the extended friends beyond them. And then going to LA, because I wasn't able to go to LA to meet them.
Because
COVID was happening.
yeah,
the borders
pandemic.
were closed. It wasn't even just that we were in lockdown and it was just like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It was like you literally couldn't. It wasn't allowed.
Like it was
until,
impossible.
like,
the
November
travel restrictions were
to
a
be
lot
able
more
to go to
strict.
America again. And then we waited around and we made sure that we were like ready for it. And then Thankmas was happening in LA. We had contingencies if we couldn't go. We were ready for the borders to close again before we went. But I could have just done Thankmas here at home at my computer, and I don't think it would have been as successful
No.
as what we did at the studio, because that was just such a big event. But I still think we could have done something cool. And that's, again, another thing about Thankmas is that you don't have to have a big studio. You don't have to have a big...
You don't have to
literally just
start
do it at
big.
home.
You gotta start small and start with what you have.
It was so fun to meet all these people
Work
that
with what you have.
I had never met before in real life. We got to hang out with Ludwig and Cutie. Got to meet Toast, Ray, Leslie, Myung, Broden, Scara, Pokey. Well, I met Pokey at the Game Awards before.
Yeah.
Sydney, Jody, John. There's so many people. I'm probably forgetting somebody now, and they're going to be mad at me.
They'll be like, "What the fuck, Sean? You forgot me."
But that was really fun. We got to hang out with them a couple of times, and I'm so happy. They're such nice people, and I'm so fortunate.
Yeah,
to have been
Pokimane
able
has
to
been
meet so many
under
cool
fire
people
recently.
through what I do on YouTube.
Again.
And so many new people too. Like, I'm proud of myself for not sticking in like a bubble, and not just having like one group of friends and sticking with them until forever.
What are you,
Like,
Vanos?
I branched out and
Is that
met
shade
people
towards
and I think
Vanos?
now they've all become really good friends. And a lot of them helped out with Thankmas as well and raised a shit ton of money. And I'm so proud of
I
them.
feel
I'm
like
so
that was
thankful
kind of
for
like a
them.
little knock towards
Thanks,
Vanos Gaming. Because
but then we
look
also
at them.
come
They've
to
been together since the
the
beginning.
end of the year.
You know, those
and
guys,
the
well,
end
some of them are
first month of the
gone.
year,
Some of
we
them are
had
gone. It's
my
been
dad
like a
passed,
rotating
and
carousel of
then
people.
The end of the last month of the year, I got COVID.
No.
So my year is bookended with like two of the worst things that can happen.
First thing,
And
your
it was
dad.
such
And then near the
a
end of the
test
year, you
of
get it.
mentality, a mental fortitude to go through either of these things. And I mean, like I said, I'm still ending the year on a positive note. I still think a lot of the positive things that happened this year
Positive
outweigh
mental
the
attitude.
negative aspects. And I'm always like a glass half full kind of guy, and I think anything that negative happens is like a teaching moment for myself, that I can learn something out of it and
A
help it
lesson
strengthen
to
me.
learn.
And I think that that's what I did, and I think I'm mature enough emotionally now to be able to do that with the hardships that come my way. And I wasn't always that way. Even like 2 years ago, I was talking about like spending Christmas alone and being absolutely miserable about it. And I thought I'd have to spend Christmas alone again.
Oh, yeah.
In LA, we were waiting before going to LA. We were almost ready to like cancel the trip because Omicron was going around.
Yes.
And we for sure thought that the borders were going to close again. And then they came out with statements both here and in America, and they were like, it's safe to fly, just get tested the day before you go, and then be like vigilant about it, which we were hyper vigilant, tested so often. I think we tested like 9 times in 7 days, just to make sure that we were on top of everything. I mean, I was sanitizing all the time and being so safe about it and so cautious. And like production crews at Thankmas were all masked up. Everything at the Game Awards was super legit because they had to have tests, vaccinations beforehand. Like everything was above board. But apparently Omicron is just so incredibly infectious. As you can see now, the amount of people that I've seen on Twitter now coming out saying that they have it, that they know people who have it. The amount of people who came out after I said I had it, like a week later, who were like, oh, a family member of mine has it now. And so many of my like family back home, they don't have it, but they know people who have it. And that's such a like, it's like 1,000% increase in people I know.
It's because it's cold.
To me, who now know people who have it, which was not the case before. It seems to be everywhere right now.
It's spiking because the temperatures are low. Usually that's where it peaks.
Yeah, I mean,
it really,
it makes sense now why
increases
I got it, even if I'm being
during the colder months.
It seems to be incredibly infectious. But we got through it. I mentioned it a little bit in another video, the meme time video that's going up today, either before or after this, I don't know. But when I got it, I was trying to be in good spirits about it and trying to be not panic, because I'm a real big hypochondriac. I think because having asthma as a kid and like being allergic to dust and things like that, I think I just became sort of a germaphobe over my life. But anytime I got like remotely like something in my body, especially dealing with asthma and like stomach issues and digestive issues over the last 2 years, I kind of developed this habit of like anytime something a little off felt about my body, I was like, oh god, is this a bad thing? Like, is it COVID? What's happening? And I would freak out about it and get all paranoid and panicky. And then when I actually got COVID, it was more like I went into action mode and I was like, okay, how do I get through this? How do I make sure that I don't I mean, not to be morbid about it, but how do I not die from this? Especially as someone who's sort of like compromised already with my lungs, and COVID being a virus that directly attacks your lungs and your respiratory system. It kind of scared me leading up to it, but then when I actually got it, it was like, okay, how do I get through this? And we were very safe about it. Evelyn went to like a separate room as soon as we found out, and like went home and she got tested a bunch, so she couldn't get it from me. And then it got a lot worse than I let on, I think. In my videos and in my posts and in like the little TikToks I was doing and everything, I was kind of trying to be like upbeat about it, because I didn't want people at home freaking out and people panicking and people writing a million articles about, oh, I'm in like terrible health or anything. I just didn't want people fussing over me. So I kind of just battled through it. Just push through. Not really silently, but you know what I mean. But there was definitely a moment where it got kind of scary, and I was lucky enough to be able to get an antibody infusion, which is like they put antibodies in an IV bag and stick it in your arm, and then you get antibodies that way to help you get through the virus more. It's only for people who have an underlying condition already, and because of my asthma, I qualify to be able to get it. Apparently they're very hard to get, so I'm very, very appreciative and very lucky that I was able to get it. I know not everyone is fortunate enough to be able to get those. One of my cousins who has MS, she really has an immunodeficiency. But I'm so thankful I was able to get it. She's immune compromised because of it. Helped me get through it so much quicker and so much better than my body would have been able to normally. Basically what it does is that it gives you the antibodies to fight it, instead of your body having to like fever up and burn through your own immune system to like get ready to attack it. So it helped my body just kind of like, it basically sent in reinforcements, and that helped a lot. But oh god, my IV story. I've never had IV before. I've never had to go to the hospital for anything like that. I've never had surgery. I've never broken bones or anything. Knock on wood. But I was like, okay, just do it. Some nurse came over to my hotel room, all like masked up to the nines, like basically as much of a hazmat suit as you can have without wearing a hazmat suit. And I was masked up as well, obviously. And she tried to find a vein, but I was so dehydrated from my fever that my veins just weren't popping up. And she was like looking at my hand, she was looking at the arm, and she was like,
oh,
okay,
that reminds
stuck
me
it
of
in
my
arm.
mom
I
when she
hate
had to get
needles.
blood work done, and they couldn't.
I almost fainted getting my blood tested.
They couldn't
last year.
find a good vein
I
to
just
use.
hated it. I built it up in my head. The needle itself is not even painful. It's not sore. I'm just like, oh, blood leaving my body. Ugh.
I hate it. I hate that too. Believe me,
watches
I hate that
something
shit
like
too.
a
When I gotta
surgery
get
on
blood work
TV,
done
they're
every
operating
2
on a
years.
stomach, and then my stomach feels weird, kind of thing. So
Like I then have to drink like a bunch of vitamin
C. It
C.
was happening. I was like, okay, just
right
don't
afterward.
Yeah, it's fine. And I wasn't too stressed out about it. I was in action mode. I was like, I just want to get over this. I want to feel better again. I want to not have this cough and shortness of breath. It's freaking me out. So I was like sitting there. I was like, okay, easy. And then she put it in, and then she's like, oh no, that's not in. And I was like, what do you mean?
Oh fuck.
Are we good?
Oh shit.
And she was like, oh, I think we're gonna have to go again. And I was like, oh no, don't do that. Oh god. So she took it out and she was like, okay, now hold this cotton ball against. And I went down and I held it. And then as I looked down, there was like blood all over the floor. There was blood on my bed sheet.
Oh.
It was like blood all over my arm from pulling the needle out and trying to like recenter it and everything. And I was like,
oh shit.
Why? Why did you make me look at this? I was like, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a tiny hole. You're not going to bleed to death. It's fine. And she was like, okay, we'll do the other arm now. And I was like, oh god.
Oh,
okay.
for fuck's sake.
And she stuck it in and she was like, I don't know if that's it again. I was like, lady, come on. You're a fucking nurse. What is happening? I was like, I know my veins are dehydrated and they're not showing up right now, but come on. There's something about basic human anatomy. You should be able to find it in a general location. And then she like twisted the needle and pulled it. And she was like, okay, there we go. And then the IV started flowing. So she taped it down. I was like, oh, thank God. And I have pictures of it on my phone, but I'm not going to show because I'll get demonetized and that's against ethics. But I was showing Evelyn the pictures and she was like, oh, ooh. But then the IV went in and I've never had IV before and it's so cold. It's kind of like refreshing feeling it go in. But it also helped because it was like hydrating me where I badly needed it. So
yeah, that's another thing too.
He
was slightly dehydrated too from the fever.
But that's my story.
Oh my god.
The IV. And then she monitored me. I was totally fine. There was no... They have to monitor you for like allergic reactions just in case, but I was totally fine. And then the next morning my fever broke and I felt so much better immediately after that. And I was so thankful for it because it
really
was
helped
like heading to like a worse place before it was about to get better. And then that really gave my body like the boost. Also, I was really hoping to get back for Christmas because we had my flight rescheduled for the Wednesday, which is like the 22nd, and I would have arrived back on the 23rd because of the
time zones
change. And then I was like, okay, I'll just start testing on Monday. I was testing like every day anyway. I got a bunch of tests, was testing every day because I was like, okay, I'll test when I have it because I'd never did an at-home test. And I did the swab and I tested and it was like, okay, immediately positive. And I was like, okay, that's what my control is. That's what it looks like when you're positive. Got it. And then closer to when I was supposed to be going home, I started testing every morning and not every evening because I didn't have enough tests for that, but every morning. And then it was like, you're supposed to wait 15 minutes for it. And then after 10 minutes, it wasn't showing up. And I was like, oh? And then it showed up on the Monday. And then the Tuesday, it was like, it's negative. It's actually negative. Does that mean I can go home? Because PCR tests are weird. Apparently PCR tests are so sensitive, they'll detect the virus in your body for like 3 months afterwards. Or they can. It's different for everybody. So you have to go with a rapid antigen test to test if you're contagious. Because if you're not contagious, then I was fit to fly. I was fine. I was able to go home. So I did that one, and then I was like, okay, book in some tests for Tuesday from like a professional to come over and do it. And they came over the Tuesday morning. I did another test myself. It came back negative again. I was like, okay, 2 tests negative on my own. Then they came over, did the test, got my results in 20 minutes. It was positive. And I was like, fuck. My flight is tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to make it. God damn it. And then I did another test myself. Oh no, I actually rebooked them because I was like, I got 2 negative tests. What if their test is like a false positive or something? I don't know. And then I booked another one for that evening and that one came back negative. And I was like, okay, I've got 3 negative tests and 1 positive. And then I booked another test for the next morning. Before my flight was at 6 p.m. I booked a test for 8 a.m. that next morning. I woke up, did a test myself, that came back negative, and then their test came back negative.
Huh.
And then I got an acid test done, the NAA something test, and that came back negative. So I was like, okay, I'm not taking, because I wasn't taking any chances. If I was even remotely contagious at all, I was like, I'm not getting on a plane. I'm not doing that. I want to be smart about it. The fact that I have it already is so annoying. I don't want to like spread it any further. But then it was like 5 tests back to back, all negative, and they were like, yes, you're fit to fly, you're fine. And I was coming from a professional, so I was like, okay,
all right, you're good.
And then I finally got to go home, and then home for Christmas. Delighted.
Yay! Thank goodness.
Time to stuff my face and hang out with Evelyn and feel great. Nope. Got home, started having severe stomach issues. I don't know if it's because of COVID or I was healing from something else, or I got a stomach bug somewhere. Started to get these horrible stomach issues where I just felt nauseous constantly. I almost puked. I was just like bowled over all the time, had pains in my stomach, crazy stomach acid all the time. And then the pills that I normally take for stomach acid, which I take like every day, because I have GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease.
Oh shit.
My fucking body is a miserable place the last 2 years, but they weren't helping. My doctor was closed for Christmas, and I was like, okay, what do I do? So I was just sleeping a lot, but my sleep schedule was fucked because of jet lag and coming back from LA. So I was sleeping during the day, up all night.
That's what it was for me when I came back home from California. It was kind of like that. I slept all day when I came home at 6 a.m.
Yesterday that it started to feel better. I still have acid coming up all the time, even right now as I'm talking. So I need to figure that out. It's so annoying. I don't know what's going on with my body. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm older right now, but I don't want my body to feel like this for the rest of my life. I don't want my body to feel like this time next year. So my resolution this year, last year I don't think I made a resolution, or maybe the year before, but one of them I said I wasn't making a resolution. I'm just going to try my best next year. This year I'm making a resolution and holding myself to it, where I really want to figure out what's wrong with my body. I want to go to specialists for my asthma. I already did this year, but they just checked my breathing. They didn't really do anything else beyond that. They were just like, okay, you don't have any like, there's no like faults in your lungs, so to speak. Like, I'm not lacking oxygen in my blood.
Like, thank goodness.
So they just kind of like let me go after that. So I want to go figure out my asthma, get that back way more manageable. I want to go see a specialist about my stomach, because I think my stomach might be the root cause of a lot of these issues with like my intestines and my lungs. Because apparently if you have reflux disease, it can come up your neck so often when you sleep that it damages your airways, and that can make you short of breath. Maybe that's what's doing it. I don't know. But it can also affect your digestive system. So maybe my stomach is the root cause of all of it. So I want to go get that tested. I'll probably have to get a thing down my neck.
Oh,
camera in my stomach.
God.
I got one shoved up my ass this year, or last year. This year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That was uncomfortable. But I had to do it. I wanted to figure out what was wrong.
You were getting a colonoscopy. That was what you got.
I want to do the other end now. I want to go into the stomach. But that's going to suck, because I have the worst gag reflex in the world. I say it over and over again. I'd be awful at sucking dick. When they do the swab test for COVID, sometimes when they swab your tonsils, I'm like, ugh. Like literally, no exaggeration. That's the sound I make when it happens. So getting a tube down my neck, even thinking about it now, is making me want to gag. But I'm sure they have like a sedative, or they like spray your throat or whatever. I'm gonna gag thinking about it. I just want to figure out what's wrong down there. If there is something wrong. If there's like an ulcer, or if like my
It could be ulcer.
Properly,
it might be an ulcer.
I'm going to say it now.
It's like damage to your stomach lining.
Next year to see if I was right. I think the top sphincter on my stomach is not closing properly. So everything that goes into my stomach comes back out. And everything I eat.
It could be that either as well, but who knows? Just, like, you don't know until you find out.
Which sucks, because I've had to lay off coffee for a little bit.
I
fucking love coffee, and I miss it so much.
Says the guy who owns a fucking coffee company.
So I want to get my asthma and my stomach sorted. Because I think getting those sorted will start to get my energy levels back. Because my energy levels have been really lacking these last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I want to I want to wake up and feel normal for a day. I haven't felt normal in over 2 years. I haven't felt like I've woken up and there's like nothing wrong with me. There's always something wrong internally with me. And I don't talk about it a lot because again, it's like it's not your problem. You can't help with it. Everyone in the comments now is going to be like, I think you have this, I think you have that, I think you have this.
Yeah.
Everyone tells me a million different things that's wrong with me.
Well, it's just a suggestion.
All of them could be right.
And I'll be like, okay, we'll find out until you say it. You figure it out.
I feel like it's something that I have. It's within my control to go get help with, and talking about it to other people online just doesn't really solve the problem.
No.
But I'm talking about it now, so you guys know that it's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, but it's manageable that I can still get up and work and do different.
Yeah.
Things. But
thank
that's
gosh.
what's going on with me. But that's my 2021. There's probably a couple of other things that happened in it, but those were kind of like my big moments.
The big moments.
Those are like the bigger things that happened to me this year worth talking about. I know some things in this sound like it was like really hard.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm leaving the year positive. I'm leaving the year optimistic about next year. And I'm positive about my outlook on what's going to happen for myself, and I have a good attitude towards going to get my physical health back into a proper place. So I'm excited about it, but also I feel like some of the good things that happened this year were also so good that I can't help but think that it was a good year for me. And I think a lot of the bad stuff that happened, like I said before, helped me have a better outlook on what I want out of life moving forward. And it helped kind of like ease my mind with my channel and my work-life balance. So I'm happy. I hope you're happy too. I hope you're happy.
Yeah.
I hope this year, if it was a difficult year for you, which I imagine it was for a lot of people because we're still in a pandemic, but I hope that you're able to take some positives out of it. Hopefully this video can kind of like bolster you or give you motivation or inspiration in some regard to like change your outlook on things and look at next year more positively. If you had a good year, fantastic, happy for you. Hopefully you can bring that energy into next year and have another great one, and many more to come. But at the end of the day, if you're here and you're watching this video, that's enough. You're here, you're present, you're in the moment, and you're still living life. And that is sometimes the best. Sometimes that's enough, and sometimes that's the best you can do.
Yeah.
Proud of you. Yeah, we're going to leave this video here. That was a long, rambly session, but it was a long year. A lot happened.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we have an even longer video because a lot of cool stuff happened again. No more bad stuff, please. Internally, come on. You've been through the ringer. I'm going to jinx it. I know for a fact.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for 2021. Hopefully 2022 is great. I hope. Let me know if you have any resolutions. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to see what people are kind of like geared towards for next year. But for me, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to still be making videos. And I'm excited about next year. Subscribe. We're almost at 30 million subs. Okay, bye.
Alrighty. So pretty much, yeah. Kind of got some of all the points, that I mentioned earlier. So pretty much, yeah, he had his, highs, which is like, the Thankmas video, Free Guy, interviewing Tom Holland and Zendaya, among other things. And, and there was a lot of, negative stuff as well with, unfortunately his father dying, him getting COVID at the end of the year, his health issues really beating the fuck out of him that year, his stomach issues and all that shit, his asthma and everything. So, and also I kind of heard, I remember in the Meantime video, he did mention about the antibody thing. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was a thing. I know an IV. I've never gotten an IV before, but I know what an IV is. It's, you see that all the time when you're in the hospital. But I didn't know that they had IVs for antibodies that. I didn't know that was a thing. And the story of him talking about how the fact that his body was pretty much dehydrated from having a fever. The nurse had a difficult time trying to find a vein in his arm to, give him the antibodies. like it reminds me a lot of, you know, that one time my mom had to go get her blood work done, and I swear to you, what, like by the time she was done, like she had to go back maybe a couple times in 1 week because they kept fucking it up. Like the first time, like I think they hit her vein and it kind of like leaked. I guess they went right through the other side of the vein, which caused like blood to, like, you know, start leaking out a teeny bit from the inside, which kind of gave us like a little bit of a black and bluish look. Um, they did it again on the other vein, and then they had to try to take blood from her hands, the big vein in your hand, on the back of your hand. I'm like, she, I'm like, oh my god. She actually had to do that today. What? I mean, filming this, she had to go for a colonoscopy, and she had to do that. And I'm like, it gave me flashbacks to that time that she had to get her blood work done. And I hate, trust me, I hate getting blood work because it's just like, it's like an anxiety inducer to me, because it's just the fact that you see just, I see my blood flying, like coming out in a sense and going into this little vial of, you know, container. It just, it's nerve-wracking, and I try to look away and, you know, push through it and be like, okay, let's just get it over with so that my doctor, my neurologist can, you know, stop complaining about me trying to get my blood work done, which I know I'm gonna have to do anyway this year. Like, I get it every 2 years. I have to get my blood work done every 2 years, so that's just a thing I'm gonna have to unfortunately do. Another thing that he did this year obviously was the 15 months video, and that video was really well done. I really enjoyed that video when that came out. It really, like, you know, really showcased his mindset those 15 months from March 2020 to July 2021. You can tell it's been hell. It was hell for him. And you felt bad. Like, I really felt bad for him. Like I'm pretty sure, like, in a way, like, he kind of like wanted to, you know, emphasize the whole lockdown period. That's how he said it, how he viewed it, like in a way where he was like, him coming out of that ending in a way kind of felt like him coming out of that lockdown, you know, being in lockdown, quarantine, that kind of thing. Like freedom, I guess, I don't know, but it's also kind of like freedom to do what he wants to do. And yeah, he kind of even flirted with maybe quitting because it was just too, he kind of felt in a sense lost. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right word, but it kind of gave him, I guess, the death of his father really affected him a lot when it comes to it. He kind of had, like, in a sense, a little bit of like an existential crisis, a midlife crisis. I don't know if that's like how you would call it, what you would call it, but he kind of had that little like moment where he's like, oh shit, I gotta really spend my life to the fullest now at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure that he had all those conversations. And also another thing he said that he really wants to try to do this year is work on a lot of big projects, you know, and stuff like that. And he also wants to try to, you know, figure out what is wrong with him. Like, what's wrong with his body, his stomach, his lungs, you know, his health. He wants to figure out, like, what's wrong with his health. And he wants to try to get that fixed in a way. And I hope he does. I really hope he does, because I don't want him to be really, you know, down all the time with, you know, all these health issues, because it's just, it's sad to see that. Like, it's very heartbreaking to see that. But anyways, I think overall I really enjoyed listening to what he had to say and all that. But yeah, it kind of, like, all the stuff, some of the stuff he was saying kind of reminded me of what happened to me in 2021 as well. Like, the whole, you know, thing with me, especially with the death, dealing with death. Like he said, like, you were kind of mentally, he was kind of mentally, him and his family were mentally preparing for the day that to come for when his father was going to die. But he said it like hits you when you least expect it. It's like one of those moments where you just don't expect it. that's what it was like for me when it came to the death of my dog Horatio. Like, he was getting up there in age. He was like 13, 14 years old, and I was mentally preparing during 2020 actually for that day. I was really actually mentally preparing for that because it was just really because I could tell that he was really getting there in age. He was starting coughing more. He started, doing things that he usually hadn't done in years, like, pee in the house, which is something he did before he got neutered. Um, and then it just hits, and then, like, as I'm trying to prepare myself for that day to come, it hits me when I don't expect it. Just the thought of him, like, he was suffering. He had a lot of fluid in his lungs and all. Oh, he had a tumor the size of, like, at least a football, a little small little football. Oh, uh, and then, like, again, another thing that hits me out of fucking nowhere when I'm not even trying to prepare was my other dog Misha. Misha fucking died as well. It was like out of fucking nowhere. Like, she was getting, like, scans every few month or two, because she had, like, some thing growth on the inside of one of her legs that turned out to be cancerous. And ever since then, they were trying to, make sure that it didn't spread anywhere else. And I guess at that point, it spread when we didn't have the chance to go. That really was a rough time for me. Those 2 months for me was just absolute hell for me. Then to top it all off, in July, as if it couldn't get any worse, like, especially with my personal life, me and my girlfriend broke up for a month. And that was rough. That was really rough for me. Like, it was a really, really rough time for me. That period of time from April to July, at least to August, was just an absolute train wreck. I was just miserable. Mentally, I was just out of it. I was just down. Like, I just didn't understand why I had to go through all this. Like, why the fuck do I need to deal with this? I don't deserve this. But eventually, like, it did get better, and even, more crazier is that me and my girlfriend got back together, like, a month later. So, and everything's been cool, and everything's been, happy. I've been a lot more happier with myself, and, stuff like that. Like, the fact that I was actually able to travel by myself to go see her and meet her family and everything, that was really fun. And I'm glad that I was able to go when I did, because immediately after I come back, that's when Omicron really hit. When it really hit. So I'm glad I went when I did, because then, if I went later, it would have been impossible, and it would have been a lot more difficult for me. So I'm glad I did go when I did. So I'm really glad. But overall, like, I believe this year alone for me was kind of like it had its moments. I don't know if I want to say if it was a bad year or not, but I think also it kind of was a little bit, because again, I kind of got more, you know, overwhelmed and more. I had a lot more things that I had, like a lot more consumption going on with me in my life, with getting a second job during the summer, starting in the summer of last year in June. And ever since then I've been juggling two jobs and this at the same time. It's been like very impossible to kind of like get time to really do these, but also try to take time to to talk to my girlfriend, because I want to spend enough time with her as much as I can, all that kind of thing. So it kind of really reached a breaking point for me near the end of the year, and that's why I took that little break, that break near the end in the beginning of the year, because I kind of got so caught up in so much shit that I didn't have time to work on the things that I wanted to work on, that I meant to work on, like the BTS video for the pumpkin carving video from Halloween last year. That was so like buried in the back of my fucking mind that I had no time to really work on it, because I had to work on these videos here, like that. And then also I wanted to try to get enough time to work on the Q&A video that I filmed in California. So I wanted to do that. I said to myself, I'm not making any more videos until I get those two videos done. That's what I kept saying to myself. I don't care how long it takes. You're going to do it. So that's what I did. So now I got to focus on getting some other videos taken care of. But I'll try to work on it a little at a time and not try to rush it. Like especially the vlog video for California and everything. I want to try to work on that a little at a time and try to structure it. Hopefully I can get it done soon, hopefully, but there's no guarantees on that. But anyways, I've ragged on long enough. I've rambled long enough. Overall, I hope 2022 is great for me, myself. And I hope Sean does well this year as well. Because I think this year, because last year was such a fucking horrible year for him. He had to deal with so much, and I want him to be, happy and successful. I don't want him to be upset. I don't want him to have him be sad. I want him to be happy. And he kept talking about ideas and trying to bounce off ideas with somebody else, and kind of getting doubts about it. I said it before with quoting Stan Lee, the late Stan Lee. He said this about after he talked about how he created Spider-Man. He said if you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. I really love that. I love that, and I wanted to take that to heart. Really take that to heart and really run with that. Because I have a lot of good ideas myself, but I'm kind of doubting myself, and I kind of try to bounce it off some others, and they're kind of I don't know if that works. But anyways, enough rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's reaction. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Be sure to ring that bell to be part of the notification squad. Be sure to check out my Instagram, because I make collabs with Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and myself. I also enact with cosplays on there, so go check it out. And be sure to check out my Tumblr and my Discord in the description as well. So until next time, JRDeal96 signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.